Howdy y'all, welcome back to Camshack Productions. In today's video, we're going to be dealing with one of the biggest problems that all of us that own a Nissan Xterra have. And that's the fact that we do not have a solid rear bumper. And in fact, if your bumper is anything like mine, it's made out of a cheap piece of steel that rusts instantly, something my buddy pointed out. But what this means is that there's only a couple bolts that connect this flimsy piece of steel right here to the frame of our vehicle. This whole back space is actually empty. So what I decided to do was pick up a standard 2-inch bumper hitch, and this was on sale on Amazon for under $170. It's got a place where I can put my ball hitch. It also has a place where I can put my recovery hitch, which is the real reason I wanted this. Our vehicles do not have recovery points. What this does is gives me a safe place to be recovered and pulled out if I ever get into one of those crazy rough situations and I need help. So your very first step is to lower your spare tire and figure out if you're going to need to use some sort of rust removal to get those bolts out. Locate the bolts that you need to remove, and that's the lower bolts, leaving the upper bolt of the bumper in place, but these two. Then you also have your exhaust hanger right here, which has 2 bolts at the front of the vehicle and 1 at the back, and then you're supposed to be able to pry that out because the exhaust is right in the way. There's no way you're going to get in there. And then over on the driver's side, you have the lower bolt. The upper bolt stays, but you remove the 2 lower bolts. And, you know, with the spare tire out of the way, you have plenty of room. This side is definitely more difficult because you have to work around the tailpipe. And I actually had to have a friend of mine use an air-powered impact wrench to get these rusty bastards out. So take that into account when you're doing this. And then you will use this hole right here for your 3rd bolt. And it does come with hardware. So let's get after it. I'm going to remove the hanger. I'm not going to video it because it's super tight under here and I'll just be in the way. But if I run into any problems, I'll show you and I'll share what I did. All right. All right, y'all. So I did want to show you that it does come with all new hardware. So you don't have to reuse your hardware. And then I know there's the bolts that you're going to use, the hanger ports are right here. And the first challenge you're going to have is definitely getting this bar around your tailpipe. It's going to take some work and some jimmying for sure, but you can get rid of your old hardware. You have to keep the screws that go to your exhaust hanger, but for the bumper itself, you get new hardware to fit into the trailer hitch. Not bad. All right, guys, so let's go over what you're going to need for this job. You're going to need a torque wrench. You're going to need a socket. You're going to need minimum a 6-inch extension. I had to use multiples. You're going to need a 12mm wrench. You're going to need a 12mm socket, a 22mm socket, and a 19mm socket, and some way to lift this thing up onto your bumper. It's very difficult by yourself. You have to work hard. But you will need the wrench because there is a bolt on your exhaust hanger that you cannot reach with a socket, so you have to actually undo it with the old school wrench flip screw wrench. But you know, in the instructions it says it'll take an expert a half an hour, the average person an hour. Took me 2 days, mostly because I had to get my bolts taken off with a air wrench. All right, guys, so this is what the new hardware looks like. It's nice, and that is the hanger that you have to use the wrench on. But you get new hardware. It is very, very tight. And then this is also the hardware on the other side, so you can replace these 2 bolts. And that is your new bolt. You do need to torque them down, so make sure you have a way to do that. But overall, trailer hitch in. Looking good. Looking real good as far as I'm concerned. Hitch attached. So ultimately what this comes down to is a really nice way to add some ability to get towed out, to be able to pull a small trailer. Whatever it is I'm looking for, I have gotten for sure. Now, I did lose some departure angle for sure. But again, I talked to my buddy about this, and he and I both decided that, these are pretty stout. They're built to take some abuse. And one of my next steps is also to find a replacement bumper, but I don't want to go with the OEM Xterra bumper. I actually want to find something that's a little beefier and that's going to last a little longer than this. So, y'all, overall, I am pretty stoked about this install. It definitely took longer than I thought it was going to. It was a lot harder being underneath this thing, trying to hold it up in like a sit-up position and put the bolts in, which were very tight because my Nissan's old. It's got some rust on it, and that's some stuff I got to deal with. But ultimately, I think for under $170, and it is much cheaper on Amazon than it is on the Kurt website right now. And I did not get the light package or anything with the wires or anything like that. I just wanted this to be able to haul the trailer around my yard, and if I decide I'm going to pick up a trailer to take places, I'll add the wiring kit. But overall, for 170 bucks, this gives me a really great safe tow point. It allows me to have some stability. It actually gives me a really nice place to help me get in and out of the Nissan. And I am super, super stoked about picking this thing up and installing it. And again, thanks to Chris, my buddy Puka, for pulling out the pneumatic wrench and helping me get this thing off, because otherwise I would still be working on it. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go down, leave a like. If you think there's a better system, a cheaper system, something that you think other people should know about, please leave it in the comments down below. This community is growing and I'm really digging it. Otherwise, I hope to see you all back in the next video. All right, be well, my friends. Come on. I'm gonna be able to get this thing and tug myself out. I'm pretty stoked. I like this thing. I think it looks good too. Way better than my rusty bumper.